All right. Well, it's 8:30. This is the time when we would normally start, but my internet provider is down in Minnesota, and so is Michael's in Phoenix. So we're both using our respective phone internets for today, and we'll see how far it goes. I did connect my computer to my phone for hotspot, and we're going to try to see if I can share. We'll do a little experiment, and we'll go from there. Today's episode is all about flattening, so it's not a super intense one anyway. So we'll just keep this a little bit more casual. If there's any questions about anything that could provide maybe a verbal response, we'll do our best to answer it. Otherwise, you're not going to see our pretty faces on cameras today because we're trying to save the bandwidth. With that said, good morning, everybody. Happy
Good morning.
Happy end of June, our last one of the month and the last one before a long holiday weekend. I hope
you know what that means, right?
What?
We are about a month and some odd days away from XCon.
We are a month and some odd days away from XCon. I hope you all were able to sign up for XCon and get registered before the whole price increase. I think they're going to do a couple different tiers. So hop in there and register, get your trip to San Diego planned. It's going to be pretty darn impressive because I've seen the class list now. They've got it up on their site so you can see the agenda, and there's some amazing stuff. So that's it. Yeah. Thanks, Doug. We'll do the MCR radio version. This is working okay. Good morning, Corey. Hello up to Oregon, one of my favorite states. Please go hug a tree for me, at least take a deep breath outside. Where are you? Where's everybody else from? Fire up the chat. We're going to do more interactive stuff through chats today. So type in where you're from, what you got planned for follow-up for 4th of July. I know I see some, barbecue and probably a beer or two in my future. Maybe lighting something on fire. Jason? I do not have a pool.
So there will be no pool in your future probably, but
there's going to be a lake in my future.
A lake?
Yeah.
And traditionally, what kind of beverage do you enjoy on a hot? Is it on Sunday this year? Is it on Monday?
It's on Monday. It's on Monday. I'm definitely a beer guy, but I do like my bourbon as well. But bourbon not so much for like an outdoor hanging out in the summertime. That's more like a campfire or nightcap type of thing. But I'll have a couple cold ones. We'll see what happens. Maybe some I hate to admit it, those high noon vodka soda seltzer things are pretty darn good too. So, hot day refreshers.
And what type of beer do you traditionally go with? Are you more of like a light beer, more of a?
Oh, I'm totally a beer snob. So I like my IPAs and I like my pale ales and blondes and things like that. But I also like a lot of hams. So hams on nice cold hams does it for me. But it's 8:30 in the morning. Why are we talking about this stuff?
We're talking about preparing for the weekend.
That's right. So we've got folks from Oregon and Ohio and Vermont and Colorado and Texas and Missouri. Good old Matt Lynn from Tulsa there, and Philly. Oh man, Chicago. We got lots of folks, and then my neighbor Jill over there across the river from me.
Fargo, look at that.
And Fargo, don't you know?
Indiana, Wichita, Canada. Of course, Doug, who we will be seeing in person.
That's right.
At XCon. And you and Doug's also teaching at XCon.
That's correct. That is correct. And his class looks awesome. And he lucked out because his class is like first or second in the morning. So he gets to bang it out and then enjoy the rest of the conference. And your topic is pretty intense too. So that'll be a great start to the event. I'm really excited for it. I'm registered.
Ireland. We have someone from Ireland. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Land of the blue clear waters, the sky blue waters. We've got a lot of fun things planned this summer. We were just talking about, Friday's July already. So it's going to be pretty crazy that the year's flying by, and then after July is August, and that's XCon. So certainly time to plan your travel accordingly. Air travel's been a bit messy lately, but we'll make it work.
Travel, stay. You should also stop by the beach. How close is it to the beach? Do you remember, Arlie?
I think it's like, so it's the event is at the Hilton in the harbor. And that's where they're giving the marina. There we go.
That's in San Diego. It's on San Diego Marina near like the
So
military boat.
Something like that. Yeah, you're able to see the water from the hotel for sure, but it's not like on the beach. But I'm sure it's a couple block walk, no big deal. I'm willing to do the trek. Maybe we'll have to do something fun down there. Hotels on the marina. So I know Doug's going and Beth is going, and then DJ CJ, you're coming with us if you like it or not. We're gonna throw you in the suitcase, I think. And we've got a few folks from ATG going down there. We're gonna try to do something fun, especially with a lot of y'all that are gonna be down there learning, getting your brains filled with all things Bluebeam.
Maybe some swag from the MCR and ATG. We'll have some great stuff planned. But if we do, let's at least try to give the folks some tips without being in review. So today's topic was about flattening. There was a question the other day when I was going through and doing some training, actually, ironically enough, about how to flatten and a couple of different ways to flatten markups.
Did you go look at the Q&A panel if you can, and look at Patrick's generous offer? Yeah. Bob, we all have black screens here. We're having internet connection issues, so we've gone dark today. We started out with radio mode, but we might switch it up. We'll see. I'm waiting for my wife's on the phone with our internet provider. So if it's back up, maybe I'll.
Yeah, we could let Patrick take the wheel if you would like. It's your call, Jason. Since you're at a computer, I'm not at a computer.
Let's see, Patrick. Let's fire it up. I'll take you up on that offer.
So we're going to pivot away from flattening, and we'll let Patrick show a presentation that he did for a submittal.
Yeah. So this will be fun. We are going to have a surprise guest because it's a surprise to us as well. Sheldon, I'd love to pay my internet bill, but you guys aren't buying enough Bluebeam and stuff. So no, I'm just kidding. As I joke, when it's warm here, it doesn't work. When it's cold here, it doesn't work. But
hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you and see your screen.
Oh, awesome.
Well, thanks for jumping in and helping us here. So while you're doing that, give us an intro. Give me a little introduction.
Patrick McLaughlin. I'm with Newcomb and Boyd, engineering firm in Atlanta, Georgia. Been enjoying your morning coffee for several months now and look forward to it every Tuesday. I run the user group here in Atlanta, and we did a meeting last week, and I kind of showed everybody how I've been putting together document sets for submittals for, oh my gosh, since 2013, 14. And, it's things like how to add the hyperlinks and even make links to metadata pretty quickly, bookmarks, how to flatten it, how to put it all together in an easy way. And everybody liked it. So it's about a 20-minute presentation I can give.
Well, this sounds amazing, and it's right on target with what we were wanting to talk about, and I sincerely appreciate you willing to take the wheel.
Yeah, so we appreciate you as well, and we'll definitely, you may be getting some gift from us for hopping in and saving the day.
Oh, not necessary, but I'll take any gifts you have.
So on that note, you mentioned you take part in the Atlanta Bluebeam user group. Anybody else on the chat attend any of those Bluebeam user groups? We see a couple of them. There's none in my neck of the woods, but I know there are some in Michael's. And this is something that ATG can't necessarily host ourselves, but we can partner with somebody. So if there's somebody in, let's say, the Fargo area, Jill, that might want to start up a Bluebeam user group, or if there's somebody in Phoenix that wants to invite Michael to the one over there, we'd like to, check it out. And, this is all about the community, and this is what the community is doing. So helping us out of a bind today. So without further ado, the floor is all yours, Patrick. Thank you.
Okay. So here's kind of how I have put things together. I used to do a lot of work for the core engineers, and they were very specific on how they wanted these submittals to go. And they wanted to have individual PDFs, a binded set by discipline. And it was always helpful for us to be able to give someone a single sheet, or, if you just need the electrical portion, it's already broken out. And the first thing we would ask when we were working with consultants is just send us your PDF in a binded, say mechanical would send us their stuff. Just send us your stuff binded as mechanical. And, we would rename them in the order they would show up on the index. And I would do two things in each PDF. Sometimes I would give out instructions to our people they would follow, or I would just go through and do these two things. And the two things are make the thumbnails, because everybody here has probably seen the thumbnails be 1 through 99 or whatever. And the only way to save out individual sheets the easiest way I found is to name your thumbnails and then save out, extract them out, and it will name them by whatever thumbnail name is. So right now, if I extracted all these sheets, it'd be 1.pdf, 2.pdf, and so on. So I would go into thumbnails, and the first thing I would do is create some page labels. And the other thing that doing this by discipline helps is sometimes people's printer settings are a little bit off. And by doing it as a discipline, you get this same square, and it's going to find any text it finds in this square and name your thumbnails. And the other thing this method does, it helps you do a QC on the index. If there's any architects on the line and you've spent time going through the 500-page PDF submittal and trying to compare that to what's on your drawing index, it's excruciating, but this does that for you automatically. It'll tell you if you have a duplicate sheet or if you're missing a sheet, which is kind of nice. So you can see here, and I usually give it a once over to make sure it caught them all. And you can see here the last two sheets it didn't. And you can see landscape probably threw theirs in with civil, and they're a little bit off. If I click a sheet before, you can see the borders over here. And in that case, you could just right click and rename the label one at a time, or you could just go back up here to thumbnail and do the process again. Grab the text in here. And this time we're just going to say the last two sheets was as 28 and 29. So custom range, 28 to 29. Okay. And occasionally, especially with CAD files, you'll get a bunch of hidden text that it sometimes finds. One way you can get rid of that is to go up to Document, Reduce File Size. And if you click Edit here, if I click it, well, here's a small file, it might work. There's not a lot of people know about it, but many might, I don't know. There's a drop text in here. I'll show you where it is as soon as it finishes compiling the pages.
The dreaded, I hope it loads quick moment, right?
Yeah, that's what, if I did it after I combined all the disciplines, it would have taken forever. So here's where you go. So you can uncheck all these for this process, but under fonts, you can drop embedded. I find that 75% of the time, if you drop the embedded fonts, it'll get rid of all that crazy text that's hidden sometimes. Not all the time, but it's worth a try. So now that we have all of our page labels named correctly, the second thing that I do for each discipline is make the bookmarks. And sometimes you'll have bookmarks in here that aren't very clean. I usually just delete those, but we'll do the same thing. But this time, if I go back a page, because I don't want to do landscape, this time I'm going to do the page number and the page description. And I usually click up here, do a space dash space, and add the text right here. Even if the text is vertical, it still works. I'm sure a lot of people online have done this process before. I always make the bookmarks last because if you are reorganizing pages, insert pages, it'll jack the bookmarks all up. So once all the dust settles, then I do the bookmarks last. And you can see here now I can click on these pages and jump to them. And again, these are incorrect. And this time I'll just rename it. This is L-101 landscape plan. And then this one is L-501 plant schedule and details. Okay, and then I just save it. File save.
And notice, I noticed your PDF here is a scanned, so raster based one, and you're using Bluebeam Review Extreme to do that optical character recognitions that's pulling that text out.
Yes, I probably, yeah.
Very, very cool. I've never tried doing this with a raster based. Have you, Michael?
Traditionally, when I see a raster base, I try to stay away as much as possible, but I guess that's the freedom of not having to, the freedom of choice, I guess, right? Where you're able to choose what you want exported versus being, sent something and you're given what you're given, right? And that's what I'm seeing here now is that, you have to run the OCR, which in the future, by the way, all versions will have it.
Oh, nice. So I probably ran the OCR on those 2 pages years ago and forgot about it. So we're just going to do the same thing real quick for the mechanical sheets. And again, everyone may be asking, well, why not include the drawing number and description for the thumbnails? The reason why is we're going to run the batch hyperlinking towards the end, and it looks for the text under each thumbnail. So when we make the hyperlinks, it's going to look everywhere in the set, anywhere it sees M-101, it's going to hyperlink to this page. Anywhere it finds text M-102, it's going to link to this page. And if this title was the sheet number and the description, it's not going to find that very often. So that's why you have to make the thumbnails just the drawing number, and then the bookmarks, you do both. So once we do this, we'll assemble the set, and I'll show you how the automatic space, how the automatic checking the drawing index works.
And that's why you're doing bookmarks separate from the labels, because you can create bookmarks from labels, but then you're just going to get the number. You're not going to get the name of the sheet.
Yeah,
right?
These nice pages. So now that this is done, we're going to go ahead and save this. And now we're going to put all the pages together. You could add them in Bluebeam, or you can just go back out to the drawing, which is right here. Drawings by discipline. And I'm just going to grab all these, put them together, right click, combine files and review. Since there's numbers 1 through 11, or I don't have to go rerouting them. I'll just call this combined set plus hyperlinks. Now I'll use the source folder. That's fine. I'll move it later. Staple them together. And I've always been impressed at how fast it assembles the PDFs. But what's nice about having them created already is that look how nice your bookmarks look, and they're organized into subcategories.
And I don't see that on my screen. I see you're pointing towards a black area, and then I see your stapler, and then I saw the.
No, you're good on my screen. I'm assuming it's just Jason's internet.
Oh, sure. Blame everything on. Okay, whatever.
So here's the page 2 starts our index of drawings, right? So I used to create 2 of these PDFs, one for printing and one without, because when you make the hyperlinks with the area fill, it would print. But what I started doing was creating a layer, and I'll just create a new layer after, and we'll call this hyperlinks off for printing. And I can right click on this and say, make this my markup layer, and turn off the print so it won't print. And then now we're going to go and create our hyperlinks. Just go to batch, link, new. And here's the first step of the QC process. If I should have duplicated one of the sheets in mechanical, would have showed you. When when I click next and I click my link options, and that's the color I want to make the highlights and flatten the highlight, and that's all good. And I generate, if there's a duplicate page, if someone has two B101s, and since I made these titles from the text on the drawings, everyone who's ever put together a set of drawings has received a drawing list from somebody, especially if they're doing CAD, and it never matches. So the fact that these labels came from finding text in the title block, you know it's correct. And sometimes you'll see if there's another C509, it'll give you a big giant yellow triangle warning. And you can scan down through these 300 pages that fast, and you'll see any of those warnings. That tells you right away there's a duplicate page in here. So that's the first half of the QC process. And I'm going to click run. This takes about, I don't know, 60, 90 seconds. But the second half of the QC process is when it puts the hyperlinks in here. If any are missing on this cover page, you know that that sheet is not in the set. So it'll tell you if you have a duplicate page, and it'll tell you if any pages are missing in the set from the index. And you know, that is a huge time saver, because on a 358 drawing set, that may take an hour or two to go through all those pages, make sure the names are right, they're in the right place, all that stuff.
So you're subbing out. Yeah, I was going to say you're subbing out time by having it hyperlink. You'll notice it's missing a page from the index if the hyperlink doesn't show up, correct?
Yes.
Is that what you're referencing to? Great.
Mm-hmm.
Then the other one is the duplicating, which gives you that thing. Now, new to me is the ability to, well, not new, but just reconfirming that you're making that layer current, right? And that was just simply right-clicking on that layer prior to making any new markups, which is going to be applied with that hyperlink. You made it your current layer so that those hyperlinks went directly onto that layer once it replaced.
Yes, and even when I flatten the entire PDF, the layer and the hyperlinks all still work.
Correct. Yep.
Which is really cool. When I first tested it, I was like, oh, that's not going to, it worked. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the great thing about hyperlinks, this is traditionally when I do my dashboards, you flatten them because then they become clickable, where hyperlinks, when you're attaching them to a markup, or I guess outside of a markup, you have an icon that lets you use it. It's the Thunderbolts, but when you flatten the markup from a hyperlink that's attached to it, like it's jumping you to a place, you click the markup to jump to somewhere. So any hyperlinks that are flattened, they just become part of the PDF, but they still work.
Mm-hmm. Almost done.
That's a lot of pages. This is kind of fun for us because normally we're dealing with demo data sets that aren't more than, 20, 30 pages. And here you've got a 358 page file that you're putting together. This is exciting. Let's see when it finishes.
Mm-hmm. Any second.
And I agree with Matt. Matrix said that you just pulled the topic full circle with the flattened notes, because that's what we were originally supposed to talk about today. So we're not completely off track. We just got a surprise guest out of the deal.
Hey, I'm all for it. I like
this. Is fun.
Those.
It says 358 pages. Welcome to the real world. Yeah. Michael and I have been detached a little bit, or I know I've been detached a little bit from the real world. That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, we still get sets, but typically it's not a full set. It's discipline specific. Mm-hmm. There are times where we are looking at full sets, but we're not doing large batch plots and prints like this QC stuff.
Come on.
So while this is loading, there's a question here from Kevin, and I'll pitch this to both of you. Is there an easy way to remove batched hyperlinks? So once these are created, is there an easy way to remove them?
Yeah, from the links page, you have a links tab. Yeah, we'll let Patrick talk through it. Since
it's right here. So yeah, so it made 2,517 hyperlinks. So here you can see as we start going through, I can quickly go through the set and see if any pages don't have a hyperlink, it's not in the set. So these are all good. Go to the second page. Oh, and 117. So that page is missing. And so, yeah, those kind of things can be very helpful to a team when they're trying to put together a quality set and impress, the client. If I click over here on links, here's where all your links are, and you can delete the links from here. Now you may have to right click and show the where is it? The links right here that might be turned off. I just right clicked in this space right here and click show, because I think by default sometimes that links button is off. And so I can click on any of these hyperlinks, like A110, go to that page. Here's a hyperlink to 302, and here's some others. And I've run this process before, so I might use a different color, but you can see how quick it is to go through. If I want to see this section, I can go to 1A302, and here's my section. And the last thing that I do is I'll go to like one of these pages, and I'll place some text. Again, I'm still on that same layer, hyperlinks off, and I'll place some text under, hold on. Oh, sorry, the Q&A thing is hiding it, but we'll just do a text box. No line, maybe yellow fill to match it, and black. And I usually put somewhere outside the border. Click here to jump to drawing index, right? Maybe make it a little bit larger if you wanted to. And I'll drag that over here somewhere. And I'll right click and I'll apply this to all the pages in the set, except for I don't need to put it on page 2. So I usually do a 1, 5, whatever. I don't put on the index, but for this I'll put on the index because it'll just jump to itself. And so now that that's placed on every drawing, everything is layered. So I have to do that first. And then under tools, I can place a hyperlink itself, draw a box around this, say jump to page 2, which is my first page, my index. And I right click on that, apply it to all pages. Now, from any page of my document, I can click here, jump back to the index, go to page 110. I already did 110. We tried a different page. Try structural. Go to 104. You can see here, even the page, anywhere it finds those page numbers in your notes, anywhere, it's going to make those hyperlinks. And then the last thing you can do, which is a little tricky, but companies can do it. Let's go to our mechanical set. That works pretty well. Mechanical is you can make metadata links. So let's say, for example, I go to a page, let me see, HVAC drawing right there. And the mechanical guy wants to link all his cut sheets to his VAV boxes. Well, if I do a search on VAV, and here's the key, it has to be something that you don't find the characters together very often, like VAV, PIUs, VAV 1-1. You can do it for a specific piece of equipment or just all VAVs. And if I do a search, as long as you name your equipment something like you're not going to see EF-11 or whatever you want to link to the cut sheets, as long as it's something unique, this works pretty well. And you can see here, it'll find all the places it finds that equipment. I do two things. First, you click all of them right here. And if you say highlight checked, again, you have to highlight it first. It'll highlight all those. And then if you do a search again, this takes a second. Dun, 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 dun. You'd think you'd have it in memory. There you go. Okay. And then the second time, you can click right here and say, hey, hyperlink all these checked pieces and open up your cut sheet, which I usually put under metadata subfolder, mechanical, and what were these? VAVs, or whatever cut sheet it is, AHU, whatever your cut sheet is, and click OK. So now when I click on that piece of text, you could be like a reviewer or even for the client, it takes you to that cut sheet. Now I grabbed the AHU one because I didn't have a VAV cut sheet, but you get the idea. So you can make the hyperlinks to your equipment as well.
We got a tip here from Chris in the chat that's kind of blowing my mind right now. So you did that link that takes you to the detail in the the sheet, which is great. Chris does one that takes them to a YouTube page for how to install it, because
That's
frankly,
awesome.
that's how people are doing things today. That is awesome, Chris. Thanks for sharing that tip.
Good to know. I'll file that one away in the memory banks.
Right. See, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for.
Cool. And that's it.
That is fantastic. I am impressed for a couple of reasons. Mainly because I haven't seen this done with a scanned set of drawings, and I forget how powerful this software really is.
Well, only the 2 landscape sheets were scanned. Everything else should be coming. The civil came from AutoCAD, probably in not Inroads, the AutoCAD civil solution.
Civil
and
3D.
then yeah, thank you, Civil 3D. And then the 2 landscape looked like they were scanned in. I probably ran OCR on those 2 sheets. Everything else came from Revit. So yeah, I don't know how long it would take. I mean, you could run OCR on all these sheets if they were all scanned.
I see some DGN links in there too. So MicroStation.
The only thing, so is the back to index, do you use the hyperlink rectangle versus attaching it to the markup, because you'd have to flatten them all, I guess?
When I do the auto batch hyperlink.
So go back up to your header on the top right that says back to index. So
yep, that.
Yes. So in order I'm trying to, the reason why you don't add it to the markup of the text to jump back is because you don't want to have to flatten them, right?
Oh no, so let's go ahead. So if I flatten this, all the markups will still, like if I turn that layer off, including this, that was still my active layer, my markup layer when I placed it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I wanted to print, I could turn them off or just turn off this print so that these things don't print filled in when you print the set. Otherwise it'd be, you see a gray box around all the text. So I just turn off the print or turn the layer off. Is that what you're saying about this text right here? I don't know.
Because you can. So if you select the text, instead of having to re-hyperlink it versus the hyperlink that's there, you could attach the jump to the index from the markup itself.
Oh, so if I place some text in here.
Yeah. So select that, right click. And then you can say edit action.
Oh, there you go. Cool.
And that can jump you. The only thing with this though is that this is that Thunderbolt I was talking to you about earlier. So if you do this and it jumps you to a page, the only downside is that once you hit OK and the action is complete, if you hit OK first, yeah, you can delete it later. See, you get the Thunderbolt. That's how the action works until it's flattened. Once that markup is flattened, and that's probably why this is not the best way, because you'd have to flatten it, right?
Well, I usually flatten everything anyway when I'm
okay.
done. That way nobody moves things around.
Yeah, so if you click it, it's now clickable, the whole markup versus the action of the Thunderbolt.
Oh, nice. I'll have to remember that. So either one of these will work. Awesome.
This is great though. I love that you did this on a 300-page set, and it didn't take that long to render, right? Because that's always the worry, I think, when people are using a PDF software. Their question is, how long is this going to take with a larger PDF set as they go through and try to run this procedure? Because when we're demoing things, showing things off, we're using smaller through. You just went through and did the full 300 and some odd pages, and it didn't take you that long.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much, guys, for letting me present. I unfortunately have a 10 o'clock meeting with my boss who's looking at me right now. So let me run, but
well,
enjoy you guys every week.
Thank him for us,
Patrick.
and thank you.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
All right, that was awesome. We've been talking about this for a long time on MCR, saying, hey, if you got a tip that you want to share, let us know. And how's that for like jump into action? So Patrick came in and saved the day and showed us some really cool stuff with working with a massive plan set, a real world plan set, if you will. And we got some good tips out of there too.
Yeah, that was some great stuff. I really liked the ability to do this with a larger PDF set that we're not traditionally seeing from you and I. So again, just like to tip off what Jason was saying, if any of you would have a workflow that you would love to show the community and take over MCR, by all means, that's what we're here for. We want to see more of this kind of stuff in the future. So at the end, you'll have that comment survey area where you can definitely put in the comments if you have a workflow that you'd love to come on and show the community.
Absolutely. So there was a couple tips that were thrown in the chat that I'll just say out loud while we're going. Well, first there was a question. So let's do the question here from David. So while Patrick was wrapping up, he was putting links on things. David's question is, so if you forget, or more likely one of your coworkers forgot it, to place them hyperlinks on a separate layer, can you move them to a layer later?
Yes,
I don't know that I've tried that, but yeah, I'm sure you could.
You can. So in order to do that, what you have to do is you have to select them from the markups list, right click after, which you can do a shift, you can do a filter, then you can right click and add them to a layer.
No doubt. That's a good one. And then Doug's got a tip for doing that during the batch hyperlinking is to rename the drawing index page as the project number. That way the project number in the title block becomes your return to index. Ooh, that's clever too. So that's pretty fun. And speaking of clever things, DJ CJ is always clever, so I won't call that a thing, but we have a monthly series called Midwest University. So back up. Midwest University is an event that ATG and CTC before that used to host up here in Minnesota, and it's like a mini AU, but we're taking that virtually these days, and we've got a Midwest University speaker series. So we've invited past speakers to come present things, but we're still looking for new speakers too. If you'd like an example of one of these events, I'm actually hosting one tomorrow. So as a Midwest U speaker myself, I'm going to host one tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central, being joined with Bruce Milligan from White Lake Consulting, and we're going to be talking about this infrastructure bill. So for the Americans on the call, there was a large infrastructure bill passed last fall, and some other little ones alongside it that are going to pump tons of money into our roads and bridges and hopefully definitely internet infrastructure as well. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow and how you can leverage those funds. But those workflows that we're talking about on that Midwest U speaker series are perfect for things like what Patrick just showed. Or if you've got a workflow that you want to show off, Bluebeam, Autodesk, something in our umbrella would be preferred, of course. But come check it out.
Aren't you a long veteran doing some of those? Would you say, Jason?
Of doing what? Midwest U?
Yes.
Or what?
Yes.
Yeah, I've attended a bunch of them going back to like 2012, I think. And I think I've taught, I don't know, 6 or 8, or I don't know. I've been there a few times. Usually talking about CAD management or InfraWorks. I don't think I talked about Bluebeam at the last one, but when Midwest University becomes a thing again, it's going to be pretty awesome too. So, in the spirit of conventions and Bluebeam Extreme and Autodesk University coming up, Midwest University will appear at some point again too. There'll be plenty of high fives and coffees and fireballs to pass around too.
So there was a question from Corey. Did I hear something about a video about submittal management? We haven't done a video on submittal management, I don't think, but if there is someone out there that has a video, you can definitely share that. That's what we're here for. Or if you have a process, by all means, let's have you hop on and join us for an MCR.
Yeah. So usually when Michael and I are showing things, we're showing demo data sets, something that either Bluebeam provided to us or we've got from other, instructor resources. We are always looking for real plan sets to play with, and we don't like doing that with just any old company stuff, and certainly our old company stuff, because that's not cool. But if you want to jump in and share your company stuff that you feel comfortable doing so, this is where things like Patrick's worked out really, really well. So if you're watching this on the future in YouTube, as most of our MCRs are, hello, go click on more, like, subscribe, all that other stuff, and yeah, we'll keep chatting away. DJ CJ did put a link in the chat to the Midwest U invite for tomorrow, which will be June 29th, 11 a.m. Central. Anybody else got anything exciting going on that they want to plug in the chat? Go right ahead. Or if you've got another tip you want to share, type it on in there.
And we do want to thank Patrick, even though he's not here, for mentioning us at his user group. We do like when, and we appreciate, I guess is a better word, when you all talk about us. We're trying to expand our community here on the MCR. So if you all at any point decide to post on any social media, please tag us. You can tag Jason or myself. You can tag ATG. You can also tag the MCR. Hashtag morning coffee review or just MCR also works. So whenever you're on the social media and posting anything, if we have helped you out at any point, or anyone from the community has helped you out while you're here, feel free to tag us.
Yeah, this is all about community. I mean, yes, there's ATG branding and there's Bluebeam here, but this is all about the community. And that's what this is all about. We want to help each other out. We're learning tricks. We're sharing things. We all come from different backgrounds and different places across the globe as people are calling in here. So if you've got a trick that you want to share, or you find a resource helpful, let's tag and share and like and whatever. And I know we've talked about other community things, and we're not scared to mention those. So we'll just keep it going. Share the love.
Share the love.
Share the love. So we got about 15 minutes left or so. I did want to mention something about Super Mega Ultra.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Do I fear what you're going to say?
No. I'm just going to say that hard release date doesn't exist anymore. So we were trying to really, really ramp up for the release date, like, oh, it's coming to come out this day. Or is that what the kids say these days? That's when it drops.
Yes.
That's when the drip drops or something. But that date doesn't really exist anymore, because they're going to sort of do it as a rollout. So certain geographies and certain things, it's going to be tiered like that, and we don't know the whole plan for that. So once we know, like, hey, it's going to be the west half of the US or the east half of the US or Canada or whatever, once we can talk about them or once we see them, we're going to be blasting that. But it's not going to be like a global launch like some other things would do, like iPhones, for example, going back to that.
Full circle. But yeah, I mean, it seems like they're trying to iron out things on their end, and a slow rollout per region would help them do that. And Alex is saying, yeah, that's where I was leading to. It probably is going to help them on the back end by not having everyone roll into a new SaaS environment all at once for single sign-on, and just take it step by step, to me, at least.
I think what it is that a lot of firms, and I'll say it again, a lot of firms have a lot of different versions of Revu laying around. They've got 17, they've got 18. I've seen 12 and 10s. They've got this stuff everywhere. And they're like, well, how do we transition this? And then Bluebeam is going to say, well, you have to be on 20 with active maintenance. And then people are like, well, I still have this, 13. What do I do with it? So they have that decision. Do they just let that license go, or do they upgrade it to make it current and then have that expenditure? So it's more of a accounting thing, right? So if you're in any way responsible for or in contact with the people who manage your licenses, and you're excited about Super Mega Ultra coming out in the next month or two, certainly say, hey, do you know where our licenses are? If you don't, reach out to Bluebeam. If you bought direct from Bluebeam, reach out to them. They can give you your serial numbers. If you have a different reseller from ATG, reach out to them, see if they can help you. If you're with ATG, hopefully we've already reached out to you and tried to get you squared away. But you'll all want to be on Review 20 with active maintenance prior to the launch to take advantage of all the new goodies. But I think that's what's slowing things down, is that firms like, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to throw away these 28 licenses of 2017 that I never paid maintenance on. Right. So there's a lot of math and it's not the smoothest transition. That's my tinfoil hat. Good thing camera's on, not on. You wouldn't be able to see my tinfoil hat anyway.
My tinfoil hat is there's a lot of back end movement around for getting into this new single sign-on, and how are people encountering it, and they're having some trouble. So they're going to do it by region.
It could be. I mean, they want it to be as successful as possible, and I think that makes totally smart sense, because they don't want to bombard support, right? But everything I've seen so far is really encouraging, and I cannot wait to get my hands on some of those new cloud functions.
Yes, so there will be a new app called Bluebeam Cloud, new function, URL based as well. And I've had a question before, and I think someone in here has been able to sneak into Review 21. Has the UI changed at all, Jason Early?
Did you just put me on the spot by saying somebody has been able to log in? Let's say if I was Googling and I saw stuff, it looks identical to me, except there's a little login thing at the top right. So you'll see your Bluebeam ID and it'll say signed in as, MCR, it's whatever. Otherwise, I don't think there's any changes in functions, right? The hyperlinks that Patrick showed us today, the flattening, the layers, all that stuff is going to stay the same. The big difference is your subscription level will control which tools you have access to.
Ooh, so there won't be another 17 to 18, we're thinking, right?
No. It's going to be pretty seamless for the users.
Which is great. So it's a little bit easier in terms of the capabilities. There's no separate installs. We're just going to have different actabilities of commands in each version that's going to be released for Super Mega Ultra, or I forget the names that we had, but
that's my understanding or conspiracy theory or whatever. Once we see things in writing, we'll talk about them, or better yet, once we see them on the screen, we'll be able to have all sorts of fun with that.
Yeah, we can neither confirm nor deny at this point. We are just conspiracy theorists thinking of what could be happening. Right.
If anybody's got good Google skills, you might be able to get on our same wavelength, if you know what I'm saying. Vince is hoping for a direct link to Excel instead of exporting through CSVs. Oh, there is a direct link to Excel if you have Extreme, but in Super Mega Ultra, it might not even require Extreme. So that quantity link is clever. It's not exactly, you don't get the same data as you would from exporting to CSV without a lot of manual work.
Yeah, it's all, we did the quantity link here before. It's all the measurement data is the only thing that can be transferable.
Yeah. As Vince is saying, the quantity link doesn't contain enough info, and I agree. I wish it would bring over a lot more, or you could just, customize even just that CSV that would be a live link between the two that they could both read off of the same file. But we'll see what happens. Oh, so those of you in the finishing trades there, Doug, there's some things that could be improved for certain, but that's what that whole make a suggestion drop down is for too. So leverage that thing. I'm sure they love it / hate it when they get emails for suggestions, but that's what it's there for. I know I've submitted a couple things. Need Super Mega Ultra quantity link. Oh man, we could almost make that into a good acronym. Maybe I need to get the patent office on this immediately. Matt, I don't remember what I submitted. I think it was something involving layers.
Last one I submitted was an actual bug fix, but yeah.
Oh, I did do a bug. So there's a report an issue and there's make a suggestion. And I reported an issue once and they're like, well, you need to update. And I updated and it fixed everything.
You know, hopefully they have make a suggestion box at XCon.
Ooh. But then they'd like probably have cameras on it and they'd know exactly who did it. And then that person would probably get absconded by security. No.
I mean, you have to sign off on the make a suggestion anyways because your email's there.
This is true. This is true. Let's see. It would be great if you could pull the markup data from the PDF right into Power Query. I'm guessing that would be cool if I knew what Power Query was. I'm only familiar with queries in GIS.
I'm wondering if you can get data from there. Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if you can get data from there using any JavaScripting, direct delivery from that into Power Query.
Ooh, look at this. David knows a guy who actually talked to Bluebeam support about an issue with adjusting ARC markups. We've talked about that before. Those are super fun. And that was addressed based on his conversation. So that's always kind of nice when you can see a measurable difference in something that you suggested. I know I submitted something to Civil 3D and they fixed it, and that was pretty cool. But Bluebeam's a different story. I haven't found an issue that wasn't my own darn fault yet.
Matt asked what we'll be delivering at XCon.
Our intention absolutely is to do a live MCR from XCon. It's going to be on a Tuesday at that time slot. We're going to be in San Diego. Why wouldn't we do that? So DJ CJ says for sure we will be doing that. Notice we also include DJ CJ. So, oh, this could be super fun then. Yeah, we're going to do something there for sure. Well, MCR is going to be at what, 6:30 in the morning? Because we keep
but I'm used to that.
Yeah, so that's well before the keynote. And we'll just probably I don't know what we'll do, Doug.
Maybe we'll all go to the coffee shop together at 6:30 a.m.
Yeah, if there was like a spot where we could go for a pajama session, I think that's the day after. Yeah, if we could do like a walk to a coffee spot, that would be super fun. Starbucks in the lobby. Doug, forget what you just said. I'm not going to San Diego and drinking Starbucks. Not gonna happen. It'll happen, but not willingly. So if there's a cool local coffee shop, somebody we could support, that'd be cool. I suppose, Doug, that's yeah, depending how you word that, a pajama session with you guys, like, wait a minute, that could be good or bad. See, the cameras aren't on, so that makes today even more special.
That's what I was going to say. I was like, but yeah. I'm in that polo and but I have shorts on.
Yeah.
So
DJ CJ found a coffee shop, Spill the Beans SD. Sounds good to me. We'll plan on something like that. So if you are going to XCon, we're certainly excited to see you there. If you're not going to XCon, you still have time to talk to your boss or whomever. Now that all the classes are up, you can see all the great things that are on that website for things that you can learn about. We're super excited to be presenting, I think, on the first day.
Are we the first day?
I think we're the first day.
Okay.
And then, yeah, there's a lot of exciting classes that I'm glad that I'm going to be able to sit in, including Doug's. And you should see all the questions I'm going to have because you know how much I'm terrible at Excel. This is going to be great.
Excel and
Doug,
Power Query, I think, right?
right? And Doug, if you want to do a dry run on MCR, you're more than welcome to. Just saying.
Yes, we'd love to have you on again at any point.
Oh, so he's got to run. I know a lot of us are ramping up for vacations and whatnot. So be safe out there for your 4th of July. Come back with all your fingers. We're going to need them for typing in things and review. All that stuff.
Maybe we can close out a little early today. Just be aware, at the end, you'll get a survey. Feel free to, at any point, put a comment in if you'd like to join us with some specific type of workflow, or join us to have a conversation about what you're using Revu for. Also, there's a review portion in there too. So if you do decide to leave us a review and it is below a 4 or 5, let us know why we are ranked at a 3 or a 2. So we can do better at what we do here on the MCR and spreading the love into the community. What else, Jason?
No thanks to my internet provider or Michael's internet provider today, but thank you to all of you who stuck in with us for our little radio edition and sort of adapting to our internet challenges. It was tricky, but that's what we're here to do some fun stuff and rise to the challenge. So with that, have a happy and safe 4th of July, everyone. I'm excited to hear where you went, what you did. Take some pictures, share them with us on LinkedIn. That'll be fun next week. And otherwise, we'll wrap up early.
Sounds like a plan.
See you next Tuesday.
Yep. See you all next Tuesday, and have a great vacation weekend.
Take care, everybody.